and welcome to the 63rd anniversary celebrations of the People's National Movement. We are here at the National Academy for the Performing Arts. I am Laura Lazama Leasing.
And I am Sharon Felix.
And we are delighted to have you join us here for this evening's program.
We're going to expect our featured speaker, Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. Over in Padmore is going to give us a little history on the People's National Movement.
And we have lots of entertainment lined up. And very importantly this evening, we'll be awarding 12 people with the Dr. Eric Williams Medal of Honor. I can't wait. Let's go inside.
Birds in the trees, wolves in the breeze, songs of our nation dawning, hummingbirds bright, lend your delight. I miss your scarlet kiss could recall some of them all. This is the day of wonder. Oh, land of fairest beauty. We found this day, and found this day. Oh, yeah, yeah. To serve thee. Three sister hills, list to the breeze, echoing to high heavens, and from the sea, the blue Caribbean breezes will join the revel. Fireflies bright shine through the night, illumine our Thanksgiving. On this great day, each heart must say, this is our nation's dawning. Oh, land of fairest beauty, we pledge our lives of duty and vow this day, and vow this day, and vow this day to serve thee. I can't understand why some people just don't get by.
But I know all of them who running their mouth don't know what they're talking about. To share for God every day. But the right things they will never say. Say our sportsmen are the greatest among the best. Our scholars have set and passed every test and put us right alongside the rest. Hey, our pitch lake is the greatest one of its kind. Our scholars have set and passed every test. Hey, 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 hey. All of them who talking, they either drunk or they staring mad. But it's like they forgetting Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. Stand still with high will prove it still. Say what they want to say. Trinidad is the great island any day. Stephen is the best thing in the world, okay. And they cannot test me anyway that they go. Trinidad, the sweet island of my birds. As they know, it's the greatest one on the world. It's the greatest one in the world. Carnival is the greatest one in the world.
All you're looking so nice. Hey, 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 look who. You know how long me I really see you. It could have been about a year or two. Cold to drink now, what we gonna do? Hey, hey, long time. Been a while we are both alive. I know I'm gonna hear all the voices up there, up there, up there. I told you. I told you went for it. Hey, look how things happen now. Look how things happen now. But let me hug up on me. To leave you. I don't know when we'll bounce up again. Everybody want to say, hey, so long I see you. Give me a wine, give me a wine. Give me the wine that I want long time. Hey, so long I see you. Give me a wine, give me a wine. And then we make up for all this time, make up for all this. It was just last week when I called your name. I'm different than them. When last did I talk to you? So long I ain't talked to you. Look how funny you're in my sight. Didn't know you was here tonight. I wanna hear everybody, everybody. Oh, you're looking so good. I thought you. I thought you went for it. Look how things happen now. Look how things happen. So the never must be you. I don't even want to leave you.
Chairman of the People's National Movement, the Honorable Colm Imbert, political leader and the Prime Minister of our Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. Deputy Political Leaders, Lady Vice Chairman and Chairman of the Women's League of the PNM, Camille Robinson Regis.
His Worship, the Mayor of Port of Spain, Joel Martinez, members of the Cabinet of Parliament, heads of local government, members of the Diplomatic Corps, awardees, and the PNM family. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 63rd anniversary as we celebrate. I'm your host, Sarah Radde, alongside...
My name is Hans Devines. Thank you all for having me. 63 years. Doesn't it feel like a proud moment? 63 years of building the future. 63 years of greatness. 63 years of service, love, and above all, 63 years of putting country and people first. This is the PNM.
Add to that 63 years of forward thinking, and that is what the PNM is known for, right? Can I have a round of applause?
Well, let's get straight into this evening's program. Let's get our welcome address, and to do the welcome address, we'd like to welcome Member of Parliament for Diego Martin North East and your Minister of Finance. Please put your hands together for Chairman Colm Imbert.
Thank you. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, political leader of the People's National Movement, other members of the leadership of the PNM, members of the executive officers of the movement, the Mayor of Port of Spain, other mayors and chairmen, other members of the People's National Movement, the clergy, members of the media, supporters, friends. It's a great pleasure for me, in my first address at a function celebrating the anniversary of the People's National Movement, to welcome you here. As I look up at Napa, I think we have, how many levels am I seeing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Packed to capacity. There's standing room only. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is PNM, and there are people outside. Thanks for your support. Now, we celebrate 63 years as a political party today. You know, there's a lot of mythology in Trinidad politics. You know, people say the PNM is the oldest political party in the Caribbean. It isn't. There are two political parties a little bit older than us, the Barbados Labour Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, both of whom are 80 years old, believe it or not. But we'll get there. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we are by far the oldest and most enduring, strongest, best political party. The other contender is less than half our age. We are 63, they are less than 30. And I thought before I start and talk a little bit about the PNM and why we're here and what we're celebrating, just to give you some idea of the political parties that we have left by the wayside in the political graveyard. I went and I got a list, 3 pages long. I'm not sure I could call out all, but I'll try my best. You ever heard of the National Alliance for Reconstruction? British Empire Citizens and Workers Home Rule Party, they actually had a party like that. Caribbean National Labour Party, Caribbean People's Democratic Party, Caribbean Socialist Party, CUREP United People's Committee, believe it or not, that was a party. Democratic Action Congress, Democratic Labour Party, also known as Deposit Losers Party, they tell me. Democratic Liberation Party, Democratic National Alliance, Democratic Party of Trinidad and Tobago, Fargo House Movement, Liberal Party, Liberation Action Party, movement for national transformation, movement for unity and progress. I mean, I can't read this whole list. National Democratic Party, National Freedom Party, National Team Unity, New Beginning, Party of Political Progress Groups. So, I mean, this list has about 55. But those are the parties that the PNM has seen and left by the side of the road. We are 63 years old and 63 years proud. And let me just talk a little bit about the party. We all know that the party was started in 1956. The actual anniversary date is the 24th of January 1956, which is just Thursday gone. There was a meeting before that. On the 24th of January 1956, the party was formally launched in Woodford Square, but there was a conference of the PNM in Woodford Square on the 15th of January. But the official date for the launching of the PNM is 24th of January 1956. And that's how we arrive at 63 years. The PNM has had a very, very proud history. We've had our ups and downs. We governed this country for 25 unbroken years, 30 unbroken years actually. 25 unbroken years under Dr. Eric Williams and 5 years under Mr. George Chambers, and then we lost. And in 5 years we came bouncing back in 1991, and this is when I first came in with meeting Dr. Rowley, who was already a senator in the opposition in the 1986 to 1991 period. Then we went out again in 1995. Then we bounced back again in 2001. And we stayed there until 2010. They got us out again in 2010. And then we came back in 2015. And this time, we're here to stay. Here to stay. We have learned. We know how to lose, and we know how to win. And since we know how to win better than we know how to lose, we shall win again in 2020. But your People's National Movement has been responsible for so much in this country. Started with Eric Williams, who won an exhibition at the Queen's Royal College, then won an Island Scholarship, went off to Oxford, got his first degree in history. And you may not know that Dr. Williams got first-class honors, just like our current political leader got first-class honors in his first degree. But Dr. Williams was first in all of Oxford University in history when he got his first degree in 1935. And then he got his PhD only 3 years later in 1938. So we have a very proud history in this party of academic success, academic grounding, and also a grounding with the people, because one of the first things that Dr. Eric Williams did is introduce free secondary education to this country. Can you imagine what this country would have been like without free secondary education? I always remember Mr. Manning talking about the fact that he didn't get in on his first try, that there were 400 exhibitions and he came 401st or 402nd or something like that. And you know, had to get someone to assist him to get into secondary school. But now, secondary education is free, courtesy the People's National Movement. I remember when I went to the University of the West Indies in the mid-1970s, university education was free. When the other NER party came in, they made people pay. It took a PNM government in 2004 to reintroduce free university education in this country. Don't forget your history. If it was not for the PNM's commitment to education, many of your children, many of our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters would not be able to make it in this country. Education, foundation platform of the People's National Movement. And then followed it up with so many things, free healthcare, infrastructure development. Trinidad was a colonial backwater, undeveloped colonial backwater before the People's National Movement and Eric Williams came here. So remember your history and be proud of it. It is the PNM that brought in the CDAP program also in 2003 into this country, the Chronic Disease Assistance Program. Free medication for people in need. We did that. We brought in GATE. We brought in free bus transportation in this country for senior citizens and schools children. There's so much. If you look all over Trinidad and Tobago, look at every major highway, the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, the Solomon Hochoy Highway, PNM. Every single major road in this country has been built by the People's National Movement. Virtually every institution in this country has been built by the People's National Movement. Think of what Trinidad and Tobago would be without PNM. Think about that. So remember your history. And because we are resilient and because we are strong and because this party has always reinvented itself and improved itself and re-engineered itself, this is why even though we may lose elections from time to time, we always bounce back. And we bounce back because we are for the people. That's why we bounce back. You see, the people experiment with other political parties. And then they realize it was a bad idea. And they put the PNM back into office. And the PNM in recent times has always been coming in when it's difficult. I remember when we came in 1991, it wasn't easy, you know. It wasn't easy at all. It was rough. Those 4 years from 91 to 95, it was difficult. We had a finance minister very different from me. He was stingy. You couldn't get money out of that fella at all. I am not like that. But those 4 years were rough. We came in and the country was in deep trouble. And now we've turned full circle. And we've come all the way back, come back in 2015 and found ourselves again in a difficult situation. But because of the PNM's experience, because of the PNM's depth, because of the PNM's history, and because we don't do things by VAPs, we are a party of policy and progress, we have already begun to change things for the better. And going forward, it can only get better and better under the People's National Movement. So I thank you. You're here in your thousands. You've filled Napa. You've shown the country what is a real, true political party. Let those other pretenders, let them fade away. This is the People's National Movement. Great is the PNM, and it shall prevail.
Always powerful, boy. Mr. Imbert, give him a round of applause once again.
So we have some long-standing members of the People's National Movement, and we all know Mr. Padmore, right? But how well do we know him? That's the question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite you to turn your attentions to the screen for this documentary.
Very few politicians can boast of a dramatic entry into active politics, but Overend Bonnie Padmore can. One day he was a public servant, and the next, the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago was being changed to allow him to become a government senator and join the cabinet of Dr. Eric Williams. Now, that's a grand entrance.
After 1970, the country, the body politic, the polity suffered a shock. The party, the PNM, suffered a shock. The region suffered a shock. In fact, it was in 1970, sort of unease disturbances was part of a global. It was a part of a global protest of youth all over the world. Whether it was youth with the civil rights movement, which was not just merely ethnic and black power thing. It had to do with the Vietnam War. It had to do with the way how the youth felt in Europe and how they felt about the whole decolonization process. The way how the youth felt about the nuclear stalemate with all the nuclear weapons hovering over Europe and so on. It was a period of youth protests in the world.
In the parliamentary politics of Trinidad and Tobago, it became necessary to change the face of politicians who represented the government of the day.
Bunny found himself being moved from a position of senior economist in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be Minister of Petroleum and Mines and Industry and Commerce. It is the way he was put into that position. And I think one of the things that when we are talking about the politics of that time and anything that I shared or we shared, I think one has to put this in the context of the evolution of the political history of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of a new thrust, utilizing what I call technocrat politicians in the advancement of the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And it is at that time you had Eric Williams, with his wisdom, raided the public service to give a new fillip, to give the body politic and the political process a new basis for hope, and introduced we technical people at the political level. Because he had this training that I refer to, he was a very versatile minister. And that is quite therefore understandable, the use that was made of him at the executive level. Because he was put in the Ministry of, as I say, Industry and Commerce, Petroleum and Mines. Then he was moved to the Ministry of National Security after. Then he was put into Public Utilities. Then he was in Agriculture. In Mr. Chambers' time later, he was in Education. And he was in the Ministry of Finance. Because he had this training as a public servant, he was very versatile from a political managerial point of view. And this was quite a positive.
Having already secured a place in the history of parliamentary politics in Trinidad and Tobago, Overend Padmore, most assuredly, has also fulfilled his legacy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the 2019 Education Officer of the People's National Movement. Give it up for Overend Bunny Padmore.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman of the People's National Movement, political leader of the People's National Movement, officers of the party, members of the government, members of the party, this distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen. It is really a pleasure for me to come and say a few words to you on the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of the People's National Movement. The chairman just spoke to you about a number of its transformational achievements in the 63 years we have been in the government. But we started off 63 years ago as a party. Trinidad and Tobago was then a crown colony. And we were a party that was determined to bring independence to Trinidad and Tobago. And that was the mandate Dr. Williams and his team sought in '56, and that was the mandate that he got. Almost from the outset, he started to make moves directed towards making Trinidad and Tobago an independent country. The first election, which I am sure the powers that be at the time regretted, what had happened was that we were supposed to have an election, I think it was in 1955, and it was put off on the grounds that they were looking to adjust the Constitution. And they put it off on more than one occasion, and during that interval, as it were, the People's National Movement was formed and contested the '56 election and emerged as the largest political party, though not enough seats, 13 out of 24, with an independent member joining the PNM, making it 14. but not enough to have a majority in the legislature and the Executive Council. And that was when Dr. Williams made his first strategic move, calling upon the Colonial Office, which appointed nominated members, to ensure that the party had a hand in selecting, I think it was 2 nominated members, to ensure that it would have a majority in the council. That concession was granted against the objection of opposition elements in the country. And that started the process of having stable government in Trinidad and Tobago. Successive changes were made, always against opposition from within, so that when the internal self-government constitution was granted, there was a big furor coming from the opposition of the time, insisting that control of the police must remain with the governor and not handed to a minister. We were not yet independent, in internal self-government, but the control of the police must not be handed to a political representative. That too was fought. And when internal self-government came, Dr. Patrick Solomon was the member of the Legislative Council who had responsibility as Minister of Home Affairs, whose responsibility included responsibility for the police. And then we moved that next celebrated step to independence. A lot of us are not, or perhaps don't quite remember how difficult those negotiations were. The government had its conferences here in Trinidad and then went to Marlborough House in London. And the independence conference was on the verge of collapse because the 2 sides could not reconcile their differences. So much so that Dr. Williams, as he stated in his book Inward Hunger, had actually penned a letter to the Secretary of State for the Colonies, Reginald Maudling, asking for his intervention to try to reconcile the differences between the opposing factions in the political life of Trinidad and Tobago. It was something he said he felt very badly having to do. But prior to doing it, one of the delegates, one of the members of the Trinidad and Tobago delegation, one of our outstanding public servants, spoke to Dr. Capildeo and said it would be improper for us to come up here and not be able to reach an agreement on this because you and Dr. Williams cannot see eye to eye on the issues involved. Dr. Williams was also consulted, and they agreed, Dr. Williams agreed that he would talk to Dr. Capildeo. They spoke. Assurances were given on both sides. Consultation followed a pattern that had emerged in India with Nehru on reconciling differences within the national community, and consultation between government and leader of the opposition. And on the basis of those assurances, Rudranath Capildeo, the leader of the opposition, leading a team that up to then made it appear as though we would not achieve consensus, gave his consent. And when the conference was resumed on that final day, because the British were literally convinced that the talks would fail. From the reporting that I have seen, they were absolutely flabbergasted that Dr. Williams and Dr. Capildeo had reached a consensus on independence and that Trinidad and Tobago was able to plan its independence in peace and harmony. I think the country needs to recognize because a lot of other countries never got to their independence in peace and harmony. There was instability and upheaval. The country needs to recognize that in the context of the achievement of independence for Trinidad and Tobago, these two leaders must be jointly recognized for that achievement. And as you know, the chairman spoke about the transformational things that have been done. But as you know, independence for countries all have their trials and tribulations at the time of independence. We have not been without ours. We have had the 1970 upheaval, and if those of us, well, most of us here would probably be able to remember that. And at the time that we had that, we had disaffection within the ranks of the military. It was the stability of the section that did not revolt, and the commitment of the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that preserved the constitutional integrity of Trinidad and Tobago. That is, our institutions, even when they fractured, maintained their strength to keep the society whole. The next substantial step took place in 1990. And unlike so many other countries where foreign intervention had to become necessary in order to secure the situation, again, our rebuilt defense force and other uniformed services. Indeed, I can tell you, from the minute the announcement of that upheaval was made on the television, those of us who remember, who saw it on the television, the matter was virtually sealed. And it was sealed because the insurrectionists did something that they thought was strategic. There was a major football final at the Oval, and they thought there was a lot of distraction when they attacked the Parliament and the TTT. But what they did not cater for, that in that audience at the stadium, you would have had a whole set, nearly 300 members of the defense force were there. An announcement was made on the PA system with members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force assemble at a point that was announced. And this was one of the, when they did not know why they were being summoned. Military people under training responded. When they did, they commandeered vehicles to take them to Long Circular Road at the camp there. And that was one of the reasons why the response to the intervention was as swift as it was. And almost from that moment, what appeared to be, to those of us who did not know, a frightening situation, it was virtually over at that point because the military, both at the Red House and at TTT, ring-fenced it from a cordon which they gradually pulled together and made it impossible for the insurgents to get out of it. Young country, 63 years, internal disaffection, economic transformation, but we stood the ground. And in every case, PNM was at the helm. As we go forward, let us build on the foundations that Dr. Williams, Mr. Chambers, Mr. Manning, and now Dr. Rowley have been building for us. Thank you.
And his legacy is still going strong in the People's National Movement. A round of applause again for Mr. Padmore.
I mean, look around you right now. People of all different races, religions, people from all areas around Trinidad and Tobago, all parts of the People's National Movement. Truly something to be proud of. Give yourselves a round of applause. Mr. Padmore, Sarah, Mr. Padmore truly highlighted some of the things of the past.
Yes.
And as we look forward to the future, we continue to do this together. So to perform for you, let's do this Please give a warm welcome for Sasha.
Say, don't you know PNM is so divine? I hear the people them bawling out, so screaming out. Yo, say PNM, tell them say, happy 63rd anniversary. Everybody feeling good? Wow, there's a packed crowd here tonight. Let's do this. PNM family, tell me are you? Say let's do this. Diego, are you ready? We rolling with the red army. Yo, for the love of your country, place your vote for the PNM. Diego, are you ready? We rolling with the red army. Yo, for the la 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 la. Ready, yo. Say, come my people, let's stand together underneath the red, white, and black banner, yeah. Burn out corruption like Lizzie Tascata. Jigs and insult the people, them flattered. The partnership done sink already. We voting steady for Dr. Kid Rowley. Right leader, right time. I've made up my mind. Oh, let me make up yours. Come on. Say, let's do this. I ain't all you. Let's do this. I only ain't on top. I ain't down in the back. Let's do this. Yo, tell me, are you ready, PNM? Yo, family. Yo, Diego, are you ready? We rolling with the red army. Yo, for the la 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 la. We often boast and say God is a tree, a blessed nation, the Caribbean envy. I love a sun like the place get heavy. Things are move right, God no like ugly. Say come my people, let's stand together, unite and build back one another. If you love PNM family, let me see some hands, some flags. Everybody, sing it. Say let's do this. I know they're too good. Let's do this. I want you over here. Let's do this. Over here now. Let's do this. Diego, over you. Let's do this. Up on the top. Let's do this. There's my back. Dr. Kid Rowley, a leader phenomenal. The partnership full of pirates and criminal. Send for the duck. The state is critical, searching to perform, and his country's political structure. He is the doctor we need. 24 years veteran, employed to lead. On the 7th of September, my country a bleed. For Dr. Rowley and the PNM. Let's do this. I need all you. Let's do this. All you wake up, the man wake up. Let's do this. If all the show, well I'm sure. Sing it to you, let's do this. Diego, are you ready? We rolling with the red army. Yo, for the la 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 la. I love all you. Yeah. And come. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it once again for Sasha. It is now time to honor those where the air is rare. We now get ready to award some very special individuals with the Eric Williams Medals of Honor.
We now invite Lady Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement, Minister of Planning and Development, MP for Aruka Maloney, Honorable Camille Robinson Regis.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. In the same way that a country's history is marked by the contributions of diverse sectors of its citizenry, so too the journey of any political movement is characterized by the efforts, dedication, and vision of its members. Today we honor 12 persons who have worked tirelessly for the People's National Movement. And I now invite the political leader, our esteemed Prime Minister, the chairman of our party, and the General Secretary of our party to give out these awards. Murchison Brown. And we also invite Deputy Political Leader Tobago, Mr. Kelvin Charles, to join us on stage. Murchison Brown, a mayor, mentor, and man of the people. Murch, as he has come to be fondly called by many, has been the epitome of calm and restraint in the PNM. Murch has been the hand of steadiness and a man on whom we can depend. Tonight we honor Murchison Brown. Stanford Calendar is a giant of a man walking amongst us. A man of immense political acumen, though never one to claim this spotlight, Stanford has been the wings beneath many a Tobagonian politician, a consummate debater, a passionate Tobagonian, a strong defender of the PNM, and a Calypsonian extraordinaire. Stanford has ensured that the greatness of the PNM prevails in Tobago. Stanford Calendar, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Tobago Council. Apparently, the medal is coming from Tobago. If ever there was a poster child of the women of the PNM, Pearl Charles would easily take first prize. Pearl Charles has been the backbone of the Tunapuna constituency for decades, nurturing several politicians, including our now political leader. If we are to judge from her quiet dignity and unassuming personality, this has fooled many, much to their peril and to the advantage of the PNM in Tunapuna. Pearl Charles, ladies and gentlemen. Nizam Rahim has been a tireless worker in the vineyard. He has been the party's standard bearer in the Siparia constituency for more than 2 decades. He has served at various levels of the constituency as well as the General Council and the Central Executive. Nizam Rahim, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most dedicated and hard-working supporters in the Arima constituency, Bobby Charles has made a name for himself as a street captain, canvasser extraordinaire, and election campaigner. Bobby Charles has also been a member of the General Council of the People's National Movement and the executive of the Arima constituency. Tonight we honor Bobby Charles. And we have someone who will be collecting on his behalf. We have Robert Charles, his son. A man with a big heart, Hugh Francis, is a great gift to the PNM. Hugh Francis served this party as a Minister of Government, Member of Parliament, Member of the General Council, Member of the Central Executive, and the party remains indebted to Hugh Francis, who was never afraid to publicly declare his love for the People's National Movement. Hugh Francis, ladies and gentlemen. As long as there has been a PNM in the Toko-Manzanilla and Eastern counties, there has been Fitzclarence Waldrop. He has been around since the beginning and continues to serve our party. Seasons come, seasons go. Mr. Waldrop remains steadfast in his support and commitment to this party. He has served in the General Council, in the executive of Toko Manzanilla, in the Central Executive of the People's National Movement. Fitzclarence Waldrop, ladies and gentlemen, a true stalwart of the People's National Movement. Geeta Rampersad was the party's candidate for the Naparima constituency in the 2007 general elections and has served in various positions on the executive of both that constituency and the PNM's National Women's League. Geeta has consistently maintained her support for the party over the years and now serves in the Orobuch East constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, the only person who can be called, who can be called a walking encyclopedia of PNM history is Ferdinand Ferdy Ferreira. Ferdy could easily quote chapter and verse of the PNM's historical development as he can recall conversations with our party's founder, the Honorable Dr. Eric Williams. His writings now form an indelible part of the party's history. His son is going to collect on his behalf. Ferdy Ferreira, ladies and gentlemen. Kalawati Rampersad is a name that has gone down in the history books of the PNM as a woman brave enough to confront Bastio Pandey in the general elections in Couva North. Not just once, but twice. She remains a legend for the PNM in Couva North. That decision to contest against Bastio Pandey has singled her out in our party. She has served our party with distinction, and that is the caliber and character of Kalawati Rampersad, ladies and gentlemen. I think she's giving Dr. Rowley political advice. The youngest PNM member to ever wear a mayoral chain, Ashton Ford's commitment and dedication to this party has remained a resolute, so resolute that at that time we called him the hardest hard. Ashton is a clever strategist and a prolific writer. He has served as General Secretary of the party, Member of Parliament for Arima, Mayor of Arima, and in the General Council and the Central Executive. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashton Hardest Hard Ford. Edward Eddie Hart is perhaps the most loved politician that has ever served the Tunapuna constituency. An accomplished sportsman and a long-standing steel bandsman, Eddie has remained the quintessential example of a grassroots politician. We know about the Eddie Hart ground. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Hart. Gentlemen, all our awardees will come in front. Edward Hart, Nizam Rahim, Edward Hart, Nizam Rahim, Hugh Francis, Ashton Ford, Stanford Calendar, Murchison Brown, Pearl Charles, Geeta Rampasad, Kalawati Rampasad, Bobby Charles, Fitzclarence Waldrop, and Ferdy Ferreira. These are your awardees, ladies and gentlemen. Awardees, ladies and gentlemen. have all been courageous, bold, innovative, inclusive, generous, imbued with a strong sense of resilience, morality, and integrity, the qualities of the PNM embodied in our 12 awardees. Thank you very much for the work that you have done for our party over the last 63 years. Thank you, and may God bless each and every one of them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a round of applause for Ms. Camille Robinson-Regis. And introducing to you, Mr. Peter C. Lewis.
Say, I believe. I believe. Say, I believe. Now, we've come a long way together as a nation. Stand side by side. Sing. Still a long way to go, we're gonna get there. Stand side by side. Hey, I see the faces, the races, the spaces, the places where we all come from. I see the Indians, the Africans, the Chinese, the Syrians united all as one. We're gonna get there. Put your hands in the air with your flags to me. I say we're gonna get there. Everybody start to sing with me. I must believe. You must believe. We must believe. You must believe. Say I must believe. You must believe. We must believe. I must believe. Oh, in the balcony, say I believe. You believe. We believe. You know why we believe in Eddie? Listen. Twin Islands blessed as a future. Standing side by side. United in love for each other. Standing side by side. Heaven, creation, a nation, a whole generation. It's where we all come from. The Hindu, the Muslim, the Baptist, the Christians living all as one. We gonna get there. Oh, na na na. Hey, hey, hey. If you feel to stand up, get up off your seat. We celebrating 63. Whoa! I must believe. For the love of our country. You must believe. Hey, we must believe. Must stand for honesty. You must believe. It's a great democracy. I must believe. You must believe. For the believe. I must believe. You must believe. Upstairs and I know you. Get up now. Wave your rags to me. Wave your flags to me. Everybody in here, listen. Say PNM 63. We've come a long way together as a nation. Standing side by side. Still a long way to go. We're gonna stand side by side. Hey, philosophy, integrity, transparency is where we all come from. On liberty, transparency. Everybody, if you believe in the piano right now, say, we gonna get there. Louder than that. I don't hear you. I say we gonna get there. Louder than that. Why? I must believe. You must believe. We must believe. You must believe. Oh, I must believe. You must believe. We must believe. You must believe. I must believe. You must believe. believe. I must believe. You must believe. Whoa, we've come a long way together as a nation. We celebrated 63. We have 63 more years to go. And you have to believe that we're going to win the next general election. If you're sure about that, put your flags up in the air. Say, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we will always prevail. You know why? Listen good. We've come a long way together as a nation. Standing side by side. Still a long way to go. We're gonna get there. Standing side by side. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we will always prevail. Love you very much.
Yes, Peter C. Lewis. Yes, can we have another round of applause for Peter C. Lewis, please? And great is the PNM.
63 years. When you think about 63 years, many of us inside this room may not have even been born when the party was formed. And the next person we're going to bring on stage, he was a little boy in Tobago 63 years ago.
That's right. So ladies and gentlemen, please stand as we welcome the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Devines and Ms. Sarah. Party Chairman, Mr. Colin Imbert. Happens all the time. Deputy political leaders, other party officers, members of constituencies from across Trinidad and Tobago, the various executives, members of the PNM, well-wishers, supporters, members of the media, fellow citizens of Trinidad and Tobago all. Welcome to the PNM's 63rd birthday. There was a time, ladies and gentlemen, when 63 was old. But that changed half a minute ago when I heard somebody behind me, a lady, say, that's my age. And I thought she was about 30, right? But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this occasion, very special occasion. This afternoon we heard a lot about how many parties we contested with, how many parties came and gone. Some lasted 6 years, some lasted 3 years, some lasted 6 weeks, some lasted 3 days. But we're here, 63 years and counting. We couldn't have been here for 63 years and not experience the birth of our nation. You couldn't have been here for 63 years like Stanford Calendar and not know when we had a racetrack in Tobago. And the Tobago races was an occasion for half day from school. But the most interesting thing was that the horses from Trinidad used to be put in a rope or some kind of thing and lifted out from one boat into a lighter to get them on shore. You couldn't have been here for 63 years and not have known when the Eastern Main Road was the major highway in Trinidad and Tobago. And when you leave Port of Spain, you meet everybody on the Eastern Main Road going east and south. But today, 63 years, how you feel? You couldn't have been here for 63 years and not know when if you had to get into a high school, it had to be something that the church ran. And if you didn't get in there, Didn't go to high school at all. And of course, intercol was between presentation and QRC and CIC, and that was the end of it. Today, you got to be careful with Mayaro and Tobago and Karapichaima, because in every corner of this country, there's a high school with children taking part in what was the preserve of the few and the privileged. Ladies and gentlemen, 63 years, and the PNM started us into nationhood, and we're building a nation. But after 63 years, as we look back, we in the PNM, we are proud that we have been here and done what we did. Only yesterday was Friday, my colleague in the parliament said, the opposition leader, in seeking to account for a large sum of money that you had at one time, said that the money was spent and nobody has to ask where the money went because you could feel it, you could touch it, you could taste it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to account for its stewardship, the PNM, you don't have to feel it, touch it, and taste it, you just live it. You're living it. Because if you want to know where we've been, let's do some extraction. Let's do some extraction from where we are and see where we come from. Let's extract the unit trust from Trinidad and Tobago. Let's extract the National Insurance Board. Let's extract FCB. I was talking to a young lady the other day, and I mentioned the PNM's purchase of Bolam. And she looked at me and asked, what is that? And I said it was the Bank of London and Montreal. And she said, meaning what? And I said it was a bank that used to represent privilege and foreign investment in Trinidad and Tobago. But to get a bank for the people, the PNM bought it and created NCB. And she said, what is NCB? You understand the trouble that we have today to run this country? Because one of the failings that we have, people, PNM people, is that the population does not know how much it owes the People's National Movement. I heard this evening one of the presenters talk about Dr. Williams' qualification at Oxford. He was super bright and had to get to Oxford anyway. But she mentioned that I also had a first-class degree. Ladies and gentlemen, I came from a family of 6 boys, 5 brothers. I'm the only one that went to high school because I was the last one, and the PNM came too late for the other 5. And the difference between my children, my grandchildren, and all those who didn't have the opportunity to benefit from the changes that the PNM brought to this country is the People's National Movement. If it isn't there, then we are nowhere. For us today, it's a number. 63 is a number. We're celebrating the 63rd anniversary. It doesn't have a 0 or a 5, so I'm extremely pleased to see so many of you out here this evening to celebrate the 63rd. And it tells me how deep the PNM's roots are in Trinidad and Tobago, that we could fill this place to capacity and overflowing to celebrate the 63rd anniversary. But ladies and gentlemen, after 63 years, we're not talking here about creating. We're not talking about establishing. We're talking about changing. A lot of what was good when it started out, some of it is worn out. Some of it has lost its way. Some of it is outright irrelevant, and a little bit of it is dangerous. So at 63, it falls to us not just to revel in the fact that we've come from year one and we've changed this country, but more importantly, that we understand that change is necessary for the next 63 years. It was a monumental task for Dr. Williams to have established this party. It was visionary for those, the foundation members, to have stood with him as an intellectual and created this party. It was an achievement of no mean order to succeed against the resistance of those who wanted to preserve the status quo. But I say to you today, it is just as difficult and sometimes even more difficult to make the changes that are necessary to continue the journey of nationhood. Because there's a quotation I keep in my office in Balize House. I didn't invent it. I met it at a friend's office, and it meant so much to what I had to do that I copied it and put it in my office in Balize House. And it says, there's no success without change, and change brings conflict. If you are to change, if you are to get success from what you're doing, you have to change. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect success, especially if you're failing. You have to make change. And of course, once you say you are going to change anything, the first reaction of many people is to resist it. And that resistance is the conflict you have to overcome. Where is my Balize tie? I was warned that if I did not wear the Balize tie as a member of parliament, that's the end of me and the PNM. But I was looking forward to wearing my Balize tie today. I had my suit pressed and my tie ready. I hear it's elegantly casual. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made some changes, and we are called upon now to make changes in this country. And the same fervor, the same enthusiasm, the same resolve that was required to defend the PNM in the beginning, to propel it in the mid-years, that is required now to support the changes that have to be made if we are not in the end to fail as a political party responsible for this country. Because you see, if you think that the assignment is over, then you finish working, there's nothing more to do, it's done. The reason why all those political parties that Mr. Imbert was going through this evening, and a good thing he had stopped, because all of them are still calling out names. The reason why they got nowhere, even the one or two of them that got into government, is because their only reason for existing, and they say so shamelessly, is to beat the PNM. That is the only reason they contest an election, to win, to get office. And once they win and they win over the PNM, case closed. And even if they don't win, as long as they contest and badmouth the PNM and carry on their vapid hatred, their mission accomplished. The PNM is the only political party in Trinidad and Tobago whose mission is to give the people of Trinidad and Tobago a chance to build a nation. And that is why, if that is our assignment, it could never come to an end. And that's why the PNM will always live on in Trinidad and Tobago. You only have to look at the, what's it called? The basket of undesirables who are meeting tomorrow. When they were together as a partnership, they disintegrated and identify themselves one by one as unsuitable for office. One by one. Some form party, some go into police hand, some go. Tomorrow they're meeting, and they're meeting for one reason tomorrow. And the only qualification to get into that thing tomorrow is opposition to the PNM. Doesn't matter how unsuitable you are. Oppose the PNM and you qualify. So we look on and say, thank God for the people's national movement. So in this era of the 21st century, coming from the middle of the 20th century, what used to be fiction is now fact. When I was a boy, a little while ago, that was the age of Dick Tracy. And Dick Tracy used to have a watch in his hand that used to communicate with. Today, Dick Tracy runs the show. When man was put on the moon in the 60s, the computer that did that was a marvel. Today it's obsolete. And the power of that computer is in my cell phone. And every child belonging to anybody in this room or anybody in this nation now knows how to operate one of these devices. My 3-year-old grandson would go into his mother's computer, open it, find icon, put it on and find himself in his, That's the world we live in today. So when we talk about paying in the court electronically, and there are people who are prepared to oppose that, you know they're either mad or they're protecting self-interest. Because the change that we have to make now for the young people are so far-reaching, so technologically driven, that if we are disconnected from that as a party, then obsolescence will take over. We have to accept that we have to make changes. And when those changes are being made, if you, the party members and the party supporters, remain silent, the uninformed voices of the malevolent and the malcontent will run the show. So I ask you, will you defend another 60 years? As you're doing that, you'll be called all kinds of things. Dr. Williams was called a communist. You know why? Because he was saying that privilege for the few is not acceptable in this country. What we should hanker after is opportunity for all. He's a communist. And if you, I talk about the older ones, if you didn't stand with him, that label might have destroyed the dream of equality in this country and opportunity for all. Recently, the cabinet that I lead had to take a decision. It wasn't an easy decision. It took us 1.5 years to make that decision. But we had to make it. When we took the decision to close down the Petroleum refinery, it wasn't because we wanted to suffer anybody or to hurt anybody. It was because we wanted to give all of us and our children a chance in Trinidad and Tobago. And sometimes, as the ram shows, you have to go backwards to go forward. Because I don't know how many of you have ever tangled with a ram. You ever seen a sheep stay in the same place and boot? Takes a few steps backwards. But when he's coming forward, watch out. It powers itself. And we have to make those changes because today, ladies and gentlemen, somebody mentioned a while ago about Mr. Patrick Manning not getting into high school as a boy because this number of spaces was so small and so few. And there were more unfortunates than fortunates getting into high school. Today, they all get into high school. That does not guarantee that they're going to be educated. Even those with certificates have difficulty. Our education system needs to be improved. It requires changes. But the minute you start to talk about change, the barriers start going up. The resistance starts to build. And the ones who talk the loudest are the ones who are ill-prepared to address the subject. But given Facebook and Instagram and 31 radio stations with only 5 speakers, you are going to have difficulty getting the message through if you don't have the resolve to overcome those difficulties. Our health system costing us a lot of money, but we have some policies in there which require review. The minute you say we need to examine this, the resistance begins. I want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not just the PNM, that the sin that we are guilty of as a nation is wasting time. We are wasting too much time. There's nothing wrong with hankering after perfection, because we strive for perfection. But most races require a start. And if you don't start, there's very little chance that you could run the race and stay the course. We need to make better use of time in this country. So we need to move from talking the problems, overanalyzing the problems, to making decisions and getting on with it. And that is what the PNM had done in 1956, in 1961, in 1966. And only recently, it was said to us, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, a PNM government, after we were obstructed by being nice, the opposition said to us, hey, so if you could be saying that the opposition prevents you from doing it, you are no good as a government? And I say, agreed. That says to me that the government of Trinidad and Tobago has to determine what is good for the people of Trinidad and Tobago and get on with it. That does not mean that we don't listen to criticism, that we don't consult, that we don't take extra care, that we don't review, but we have to get on with it. Otherwise, we too will be wasting valuable time. The young people of this nation require guidance, require opportunity. Many are prepared to go forward, and they don't want to hear excuses. They need to be able to grasp their future now and begin to contribute for the next generation. And therefore, we as a people have to be less cantankerous. And as long as you gathered here, present outside, wherever you are, as long as you are prepared to support what is good, what is better, and the best, the PNM, you will be supporting that opportunity for us to do what has to be done. This country needs you now more than ever. This country needs the PNM now more than ever, because the issues are more detrimental to the next generation. Whereas in our time, we were patient, we were respectful, we were orderly. Young people nowadays are not patient, very few are respectful, and most are disorderly. Because they want to get their world going. And we cannot stand in their way by saying that we have practiced Sloven behavior. And the PNM is modernizing itself. And that is why we took off the Balizé tie. Because the Balizé tie was saying that we are separate. We are different. Yes, we are. But when we hold office in today's world, the people whom we serve are saying to us, we are not separate. We are one people, and we are on one mission. So the time had come for us to have, in office, to have removed that separation that the tie represented. But as a party, we must wear our tie. So next year, God willing, we're going to have a function like this, and we're going to wear our ties. Because nobody could prevent us from celebrating as the PNM when we celebrate as the PNM. And how they wish they were the PNM. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is a small country. But like other organisms, some of the smallest ones are the ones to be taken most seriously. Nobody ever seen a big virus, and there are very few big bacteria. But they are so important in life forms. This small country of Trinidad and Tobago, at this time, is called upon to play a role well beyond our size, but well within our competence. Tomorrow, as leader of the PNM, as leader of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, I traveled to New York to a meeting with the Secretary General of the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, we watch the news around the world. We watch the news around the world, and it has come right home to us on our doorstep. The world's geopolitics is 7 miles away from us. Fortunately for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, at this time, in office in Trinidad and Tobago, is a responsible political party holding executive authority, respecting all, fearing none. As we lead the CARICOM with our colleagues, we go to the office of the Secretary General with a position of unison from CARICOM. And we go because we are in a position to say to all parties, all actors, all contenders, we stand on principle. And it is that commitment to principle that allows us to be able to talk to anybody and everybody. If we handle ourselves differently, there'll be times when we can only talk to our friends, and there'll be times when we only make enemies. We have done enough for this country to know that if the PNM didn't exist, it would have had to be invented to give the people of these islands a chance. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to acknowledge the effort and the vision, not just of Bonnie Padmore and Reverend Padmore and Dr. Williams and Cutty Joseph, but you, the individuals, the salt of the earth and the constituencies like Kalwati Rampasad in Couva North. Like Pearl Charles and Tunapuna, who made me a member of this party. Like all our members across this country, from Cedars to Charlottesville, from Carnage to Karapichaima to Sangre Grande. All our members. Be proud that you're part of this great organization. Be proud that you're part of this great nation. Because together, this nation and this organization, there is no end to the successes that can attend the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Over 63 years, there were days when we celebrated in over-exuberance. We are the ones who had a fete before the match was played and go and lose the match. We are the ones who, there are days when we bury our dead. But whatever the circumstance, we always know in these islands we have a future. And as long as we are responsible, and as long as we follow the principles that are enshrined in the documents of the PNM, covering all the good life, all the good conditions, and exhorting us as party members to be cognizant of the country that we call home and the nation that we are building, as long as we are aware of that, and we continue to subscribe to those principles and to function in your party and to take part in national life, Trinidad and Tobago's future is assured. So today, I want to say happy birthday to all of you and all of us as we say, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can do better than that for our Prime Minister and political leader, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley.
So are you all ready for some entertainment?
Yeah.
Please welcome Rishi Singh.
Come on, everybody. If you love PNM, put your hands in the air. Hands up. Put your hands up, put your hands up, right there. Put your hands up, put your hands up. Bye-bye. Hey! Rajendra Jima Jima Jom. Rajendra Jima Jima Jom. Chana na 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 sin. Chana na 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 sin. Chadar kare karanisa. गावे की सुनाऊंगा मैं सारे गमा परनिसा गावे की सुनाऊंगा मैं राजेंद्र झीम झीम जो राजेंद्र if you love PNM put your hands in the air chana na 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 chana na 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 चतरंगों का ये रस रंग को सुनाऊंगा मैं चतरंगों का ये रस रंग को सुनाऊंगा मैं राजेंद्र झीम झीम जो somebody say bye 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 put your hands in the air hey hands up so put your hands in the air anybody from Grande put your hands in the air. Anybody from South Trinidad, put your hands in the air. If you love Trinidad, put your hands on. Oh, Gawe Guni Dantal Wachum, Chana na 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 na. Gawe Guni Dantal Wachum, Chana na 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 na. Sare Gama Paranisa, Gawe Kisunaunga मैं Sare Gama Paranisa, Gawe Kisunaunga मैं Rajinder Jim Jim. Hands up, so put your hands up. Rajinder Jim. If you love Trinidad and Tobago, hey. Cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe-ni-su-na-o-ga-ma, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe. If it's a true Trini, put your hands up. Put your hands in the air. Everybody, let me go. Hey, put up your hand right there. Put up your hand right there. Anybody from Trinidad, put your hands in the air. If you love PNM family, somebody say yeah. Oh, Panditine gawe juma, chana na 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 na. Panditine gawe juma, chana na 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 na. Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe-ni-su-na-o-ga-ma, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa. Everybody sing with me. Hey! Rajinda Jima Jima, Rajinda Jima Jima Job. Sing! Cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe-ki-su-na-o-ga-ma, Sa-re. Everybody scooty ball. Let me do something. Sing with me. Rajinda Jima. If you love Trinidad and Tobago, put your hands in the air. Wave, 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 wave. Cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, cha-na-na-na-na-na-na, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe-ki-su-na-o-ga-ma, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-ra-ni-sa, gawe. Everybody sing. Rajinda Jima Jima. Everybody. Rajinda Jima Jima Jo. Love you all. Put your hands in the air. If you love PNM family. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Love you all.
One more time for Rishi Singh. You all enjoyed his performance?
Yeah.
I thought so.
And in everything we do, we must give thanks. So to offer an official vote of thanks, let's welcome Sean Williams from the PNM Youth League. Please put your hands together for Mr. Williams.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Putting the people first in our name, it's our legacy. It's not a motto, it's not a slogan. It's in our name, the People's National Movement. On this occasion, I am pleased to thank all of our organizers, performers, and you, the people who came out here in your numbers to support this great party. I think this has been one of the best anniversary that we've ever had. So without further ado, thank you so very much. We appreciate you. We love you all, and safe return to your respective homes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Ladies and gentlemen, 63 years of the PNM. Let's get another big round of applause. So we want you all to know, as you all exit the main hall in the foyer, we're going to have an event. We're going to stay for some time, meet and greet each other, and basically continue to celebrate 63 years of greatness, 63 years of the People's National Movement.
That's right. We also have some entertainments outside that you do not want to miss. So we'll see you guys outside. And as Han said, 63 years, happy anniversary to the People's National Movement, and great is the PNM.
And we're at the end of this evening's celebration. It was fantastic. What a journey to 63, Sharon.
A blast. Entertainment, history, you name it, all in one at the Napa 63rd anniversary of the People's National Movement.
It was so fantastic. We awarded 12 outstanding members of the party, Ashton Ford, Pearl Charles, or Trinidad and Tobago. It was a treat. The performances were scintillating. Black smash of the place, Farmer Nappy. We had Peter C. Lewis.
And you're back soon.
Thank you so very much for joining us here this evening. Thank you for joining us on this journey to 63.